Good Wednesday evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well this week. This week's kind of felt weird to me for some reason. Nothing's really happened, but it's just kind of, I've enjoyed it, but it's kind of had kind of a weird little energy to it at times also. But anyway, I wanted to talk a few minutes this evening about not judging instantly. You know, the one thing that I have learned about myself in the last several years, as I've gotten older, I turned 66 in September, and I'm gonna enjoy that and tout it and put it out there. I'm blessed, but I turned 66 this month, and one thing I've realized about myself here in these last several years is I try, if something is said that kind of bothers me, or something happens, or if I hear about something, I try not to make instant judgments upon anything. I'm just like, I probably need to ponder that for a week or two. You know, and just kind of see how my spirit maneuvers through that, how I actually feel about it. In my younger years, I was quick, not by choice, I would just make real quick judgments. And most of the time, that's not the right. You know, even when we go on trips, my first trip to Paris, after I was there for about a week, you know, Ava asked me, she said, well, what do you think about Paris? And I said, you know what? Let me go back to Atlanta. Give me about 2 or 3 months, and I can let that marinate. Let me just go home and digest Paris before I just say, oh, I love it or I don't like it. I need time to process Paris. I mean, how do you do that in 3 or 4 days? So when I was younger, when I first started the church, I had an uncle, Charles Carter, we called him Flip. And he was a big man. I mean, a big rugged man, wore overalls all the time. He was a contractor. He mainly built houses. And so he would drive from almost to Covington every Sunday to Atlanta to be in a Sunday night service that I was holding here in Atlanta. And when I would open up a service and say, let's stand to our feet, those of you that can, you know, ask God to bless the service, and then we'd do congregation singing. Well, I would notice he would stand up, and then after I would say the prayer, we'd start, you know, having what we call the worship service. He'd sit down. And I don't know what it was about that, my arrogance or my if I'm just trying to think about who I was in that moment, I didn't like it. You know, I felt disrespected that he wouldn't stand up through the congregation singing. You know, and he always sat in the same place, right on the second row, right there toward the front of the church. The whole church would be standing up. Charles Carter, he'd be sitting there. You know, his wife Betty loved to shout. My Aunt Betty, she'd play the tambourine, she'd shout. She loved to sing, worship God. He'd sit there. So this went on for a couple of months, and I thought, you know, I would start to give him, when he would sit down, I just would give him, you know, like that dirty look, like you don't even love God enough that you can stand up for just 20 minutes while people are singing. You know, that judgment, you know, and that's the judgment I made against him. And I'm just being honest with you, you know, about, you know, we judge stuff. So anyhow, one service he sat down and I just looked at him like, you know, and I, you know, people can feel judgment from other people. And then after the service was over that night, he walked up to me and he said, Brother Eddie, can I talk to you for a minute? And I said, yeah, Brother Charles. And he said, I don't want you to be upset with me or hurt at me that I sat down during the congregation singing. He said, Brother Eddie, if I stand in the same place for more than 5 minutes, as long as I can move around, as long as I can walk, as long as I can bend over, I'm fine. He said, but Brother Eddie, if I stand in the same place for like 5 minutes, he said, Brother Eddie, my back just hurts me so bad. I remembered that. That was such a huge lesson to me, that our judgment is often wrong. It just rebuked me, I immediately told him, Brother Charles, you don't never have to stand again. I said, I would never want nobody to stand and their back hurting them like that. But I drew that out of him because I was judging him. And it taught me a lot of things. It taught me then my judgment sucked. I didn't have good judgment, I've learned over the years to ponder stuff. I've learned over the years not to be in quick judgment. Because now I'm going to tell you also, take just this one little step further about judging people and judging things. The base of a lot of Christianity, the judgment thing is like a big pink elephant in the middle of the room, and they all dance around it. They actually, to me, they act like they never even understood. Now, like for me, I judge practically everything. If somebody comes for the first time to a meeting one weekend, I'm like, man, she sure is a pretty lady. Look at that dress. I'm just full of people's like, well, that's kind of observations of people. Observations are judgments. When Jesus said, men will judge you by the outward appearance, that was observations. But God judges on the inside. So I judge everything. But what I've come to realize, I know the things that I don't judge. Like there's times I'll come out of a BP and I've run in to get something, and there's a person sitting there asking alms, and there's something in my spirit that just doesn't have to tell me. I just know, don't judge that person. There's no judgment there for that person, and it's not all that cliche is, that could be me or for the grace. No, it's just some things we don't need to judge. But Christianity in itself, in the religion, is a very judgmental religion. Somebody told me even 2 weeks ago, said, I don't approve of your lifestyle, but I don't have no judgment on you. And I'm like, are they that ignorant? Do they realize that is the judgment? So anyway, here's what I would just tell us this evening. Ponder stuff. Pondering is a good Southern word, ponder stuff. The answers will always come. If you're actually gonna cut someone out of your life, and really probably never have nothing else to do with that person, and a lot of people that listen to this have done that and will do that in the future. Those are not things you should do on spur of a moment or over an argument one evening. Those are things you should take to heart and ponder. And then when you make that judgment to do that, you feel like you're on firm spiritual ground to do that, in order to make those kind of judgments. This is not scripture, and everybody's heard this from Dr. Maya Angelou when she says, when people show you who they are, believe them. When people tell you who they are, believe them. Now, I've studied the Bible for most of all my life. There's probably not a more powerful saying than some of the things that Dr. Maya Angelou says. You won't read them in the book of Matthew. You won't read them in the book of Acts. I'm telling you, they're just as powerful as any scripture you'll pull out of those books in the Bible. When people show us who they are, we should believe them. I've seen her one time when they was asking her about her saying that, and she's like, well, if somebody tells you like, honey, I'm as crazy as a bed bug, Dr. Angela said, believe that, because they're telling you the truth. You might like, oh, you're fine, we're all great. No, believe them. When people tell you they're crazy, you should listen to that. When people tell you I have a little bit of a temper issue, you should believe that, But anyhow, namaste, everybody. My 10 minutes is up. We're on the tinge of fall. In the next week or two, we're going to start feeling little tinges of fall. Life is good. No matter what age you are, enjoy the season that you're in. It's okay to cut people out of your life. It's okay to have openings for people to come into your life. Judge nothing before it's time, but in all things judge, and let your judgment be true. Because when you come to a comfortable place of judging it, you make peace with it, and you either move on or you let it go, or you are okay with going forward with it. Good night.